You really are hitting there, eh? You wanna be hitting or not? Would you go to the frozen?
Hi, Karen.
You go, ma'am.
Go to the frozen floor?
Oh, there you are. Oh, good. Yeah.
No?
Hi, Karen.
One of the kids. Oh, no, that's Disney.
Well, I know you were sports fans, so I thought maybe you.
But that's Disney.
Alrighty.
I went to the game.
We need a battery in that in that clock, maybe. Okay, it's 6:30. Let's call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. And let me take the roll call. And of course, I forgot I'm gonna have to. Okay, Rosemarie
Here.
and Karen Panett.
Here.
And no one else is on there. That's a member. And John Parsons.
Here.
Karen. John Parsons and Jean Prado
Here.
and Marilyn Shapley
Here.
and Nancy Zimlak here and John
Szynski.
Zazinski. Let's all say
Elevate him.
that together.
Did you get Tony?
No,
Yeah, Tony.
No, is he up there?
yeah, Leonetta.
There he is.
Oh, I have to designate one of them, as a member to meet the quorum.
1, 2, 3,
2,
4,
We have six.
That's six.
who's 6?
Karen,
Karen, 6, yes.
We have six.
Okay,
But we only have 5 regulars though, right?
no,
No, we have 6 members.
Where?
Karen Panett on the wall.
Okay, that's right. There's 4 of us down here. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, apology accepted.
The wall.
Um,
I like.
and welcome, oh, Tony, that's okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I am like looking at faces, anyways, never mind. Hi Jenna, hi Mark, hi Tim, Town IT, and Donna. So we have a agenda. We took attendance. Now we need to approve minutes. And what I asked everybody to do was to look at the minutes beforehand. And if anybody had any questions or comments, to send them to me. And nobody did. So I'm assuming that everybody is okay with the minutes.
I think you still have to have a vote to accept.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I do. So, and I don't know if I can we do accept all 3 minutes at the same time? Or do we have to do?
Mark, about something.
Mark says yes, okay.
Yeah, you can.
So we are accepting the minutes of August 8th. We're accepting the minutes of July 31st. And we're accepting the minutes of July 22nd. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept those 3 minutes.
Seconded.
Second.
Okay,
Third.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anybody opposed? All right.
Let's see,
Aye.
we have
Nancy-
anyone doing minutes.
Nancy, excuse me for
No,
1 second. You
okay.
actually have to do
No,
roll
there's
call.
one.
If you don't have a quorum in the room, actually,
No, we
You-
have a quorum.
I think you still need to do roll call because you have some members that aren't.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Physically.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Rosemarie,
I accept it, yes.
Karen, Panett,
Yes.
John Parsons.
Yes.
Jean Prado,
Yes.
Marilyn,
Yes.
Nancy, yes, and Karen Janowski.
What am I accepting?
The
Minutes.
minutes.
Okay.
Okay, now, here's an issue. We do not have our secretary tonight.
I
Um,
my computer.
Well, okay, because the other option is that Karen can use the recordings
Oh, good, yes.
to to take the minutes. But she did ask me if anybody was willing.
Yeah.
I kind of said that I would, but we will have the recording.
Okay.
So, all right. What else? Now my notes are all messed up. Here we go. Okay, so we approved the minutes. Select board
You need to turn
update.
on your own video.
But you got in.
There are people that probably can hear us.
Oh, Joan Coco. Okay. Good. Mark,
Hello,
hello.
long time no see.
Looks like
So-
Debbie Small is there now too.
Oh, good. Okay.
Awesome. So I can give a quick update if that works for you. Recalc made its final presentation to the select board at the previous select board meeting. A number of you folks I know were either there or watching. But I think it was very well received. I think that John Sasso did a really nice job of presenting it to the group and sharing, the information that we have, which really features a strong recommendation that Simon's Way is the preferred location. It is your group, COA plus Recalc, had that strong feeling in terms of what should happen. The board had a few questions in terms of what that meant and what the next steps are. So maybe we can just talk that through for a moment. Recalc sunsetted as of August 31st. So Recalc is no more. The webpage, and I'm hoping is going to stay for a bit, but the activities now are there. The next major activity, and Nancy, perhaps you can even speak more clearly on it, is that the Permanent Building Committee is now kind of the lead organization in terms of development activities. In addition to the regular Permanent Building Committee members, the charter has allowance for 2 temporary members. Those 2 temporary members are Nancy Zimlak and myself. So we've joined the Permanent Building Committee for the purpose of this project and just for stuff on this project. There is a requirement that there be an owner's project manager before we take it forward to the next level of schematic plans. You probably will all remember that there's already funding to do the schematic plans. However, the town needs to have an owner's project manager in place. The interviews just took place, I think last week, and the Permanent Building Committee will be meeting next Monday, and I believe on the agenda will be to get a recommendation, to have a discussion, and then select an owner's project manager for the town to negotiate with, assuming they can negotiate in just a few days' time. We'll have an owner's project manager on board. Then what needs to happen is to get them fully up to speed. And I'm hoping that they will ask for input from members of Council on Aging, from former members of Recalc, certainly from the town, to get them up to speed as quickly as they can on the project, on the sites, on all the activities. And then once they have kind of opined on things, then it needs to go back to the select board for the select board to actually agree to the location, I believe. And then once that is done, then we can move forward with schematic drawings. And again, the schematic drawings are funded already. So it's an issue of getting everyone kind of together, the owner's project manager being the new people here, as well as the Permanent Building Committee. The Permanent Building Committee did receive the presentation. It was given to them, not presented to them, but they received it in an email. So they have a copy of what it is, of all the work that we've done, all the surveys, the needs activities, the meetings, the recommendations, all the different community meetings that we had throughout the last actually 2 years now. And hopefully they will get comfortable with the recommendation and or bring up questions that they have. And then we'll take that forward. I would love to see all this happen in October so that the so that the select board can accept the recommendation on location and start the process of the next schematic drawings, the next level of drawings. That's a process that probably is 3+ months, 3 to 4 months. So if we can get going in October, November, December, January, that timeframe, December, January, would be great to have that. That would provide much more detailed cost estimates. Before the cost estimates, it will have a lot more input into exactly what we're talking about going on the inside, the functions of the different places, all those activities. And then we can, throughout that process, be sharing it with the community, because it will require a town meeting vote, and then it will require a taxpayer vote in order to take it forward. So as much as can be shared with the community, input received from the community, and we've had quite a bit already, but there's quite a bit to go. That's what we use to kind of form this and take this forward to the community for the votes at town meeting and then the voters. And that's kind of where the select board is right now, I think. And I think that's where the owner's project manager is. And I think that's kind of where the project is. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yeah,
So, Mark, I just want to clarify about the expenses, because I know that the bid for BH&A was the entire amount. So is this all covered under that?
So
And not, yeah, I just want to understand the whole financial aspect of it.
So the schematic drawings are all covered under the ARPA funding that was awarded to BH+A. That was part of the contract they signed with the town for the architectural drawings. The OPM activities, I believe part of it or much of it is coming from PBC, Permanent Building Committee funds from last fiscal year, fiscal 24.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. And is there enough money for that, for the OPM?
I believe so, and that's up to the town and the OPM to negotiate that through and to come to an agreement. I believe that there's an expectation as to what that was going to be, and that's the subject of negotiations now. Excuse me, once one group is selected, that'll be the subject of the negotiation, is to bring them in. Now, the OPM, we only are hiring an OPM for these architectural drawings, only through that phase, not through full construction. It would require us to go basically to town meeting to get any more funds for construction, for project manager for construction, any other activities like that. That needs to go to town meeting for funding, because there really isn't other funding for those things at all as of now.
Okay.
And that's typical for a project.
Okay, and also BH&A, are they on hold with us? Do they still have additional work that we have approved things for? Where are we with the architect?
They are basically on hold. We kind of lost our momentum over the summer. They made their presentations, recalculated their presentations. Until the OPM is in place, they really can't move forward. And actually, they really can't move forward until a site is agreed upon.
Yeah.
So they're waiting. And
I know we had a timeline and we expected everything to be done by June, but.
and we obviously weren't able to accomplish that. I think we got an understanding that we needed the owner's project manager, and so we probably were on track to be, we had things that could have gone to the select board in June. If the board then could have approved it, probably was 4 months from there. So July, August, September, October. So we probably were on track for October, and we kind of lost 3 months.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Jean?
So this is going to go to town meeting in the spring, am I right? We
So
put-
all this is a function of when everything is ready. I think that it's important that this process is done right, that there's plenty of time for input, that BH+A is able to do what they need to do. The owner's project manager is representing the community and is comfortable with the timing and everything that happens. I think that if all of that is done in January, it's still possible to get to April town meeting. But it will require a lot of work to share all the information with the community so that people who have questions and comments have time to offer those questions and comments.
How would you share all that information with the community? Is there
That's
a
an
process? Is
awesome
there a step?
question.
Is there a process or a step by step you have to go?
So both the architect and the owner's project manager have a lot of experience doing this in a lot of communities. So one of the things that I think we're counting on them doing is advising us, and us, I think the Council on Aging has a huge role here. They're going to advise us on how to do it, how to take it forward, how to share the information. So they'll be sponsoring community forums and things like that. But even with that, there's a need to share lots of the information with the community so that it's not a surprise to folks. First to town meeting, and then obviously to the taxpayers, because we'd be asking them for more money. And Rosemary, as you well know, they're also, in my view, we have two gigantic priorities in front of us. We have the Center for Active Living and we have the Killam School. And, you know, plus or minus, they're both in the same time frame, whether it's exactly April town meeting or not, it's in the same time frame. And the community, I think, deserves to know what's in front of them and what the priorities are. And again, I personally feel those are the two. We need to see how much money it is. I don't believe it comes forward as a single article that says, let's do recal and a school. I believe it's two distinct articles that have to go to town meeting.
It is.
Yeah. So, you know, there are two things that people, you know, will see. Again, town meeting first, and assuming it passes town meeting, then on to the voters. Oh, I hear background speaking.
That's Holly. Any other questions?
Actually, Nancy, I have a question. As far as the OPM, the OPM for the school, have they submitted for to be OPM on the senior center?
They did, in fact, with a different team. So they are one of the folks that submitted a proposal, and they, in fact, are one of the groups that was interviewed.
Okay, how many did the town interview?
Three.
Three.
Three teams? Okay.
Interviewed three.
Three is a really good number to do, because usually you get some choice out of it. Sometimes one group ends up falling out, and you still want to have a choice. So 3 is kind of the minimum you want to talk to.
And it was really a unanimous agreement of the permanent building committee members, which three to interview. So that's a good thing.
Okay.
Can we do, when the time is appropriate, a mass mailing to all taxpayers, residents? Can we do it jointly too, with the information on Killam School, or would that be separately?
So I think that's going to be, I'm sorry, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say it would be separate. But that's something that we're really not going to discuss in detail here, how we're going to do it. We're just simply looking at the process tonight. And we'll get into the details on how we're going to outreach once the OPM, as Mark says, is in place and BHNA is ready to ramp up on schematic designs.
And Rosemary, you're asking exactly the right questions, which is what's the process from that point? What can we do? What do we need to do? How does this happen when it's successful in communities? And I know Donna Brewer is going to talk a little bit later about what a public group can and can't do.
Yep.
Just to add one more group that also will be critical in presenting it as a center for aging is REC as well. Their voice in supporting this, so.
Any other questions? So what this tells us is we have a lot of work ahead of us in the next 6 months. So put your work boots on because we'll be working hard to get this over the finish line. So that will be great. All right. What do you think, Mark? Anything else or?
Maybe if I could let me touch one other topic. One of the questions that has come up and will come up is we know also that there is a group that's very pro pickleball at Simon's Way. And in our discussions, even with BH+A, part of the discussion was how pickleball is a great age 60 plus opportunity, not just 60 plus, but definitely for 60 plus also. And again, opinions, at some point, the discussion of how do all those things proceed? What's the timeline? There will need to be some kind of drawings that would be required for any activity down at Simon's Way. And whether or not that's part of where BH+A goes, what comes back from the project manager a little bit, how the permanent building committee wants to move forward. And I don't know what will come to April town meeting. Again, personal opinion, it may make a lot of sense for us all to be kind of working together to get this done. I think that there are great outdoor pickleball opportunities there. If we do this project with the gym as proposed, there are great indoor pickleball opportunities also. And that would, in my opinion, make for a great recreation space. Sorry, I'm speaking as myself.
Well, thank you, Mark. We really appreciate the update. Which I think will lead us into the next two items, which I believe Mark has already covered. So I think we can check those two off. And that moves us, that was Reading Active Living Center has subsetted. And Mark went through the Permanent Building Committee update. So we have two other guests tonight. We have Anne Marie and we have Joanne from the Friends of Reading 60 plus. And they would like to share and say a few words tonight to the Council on Aging.
Well, as you all know, we started this venture last year. So it's been about a year and a half now. We've incorporated in February, and we finally have now our act together. And I think we did our first little presentation about the Friends group to the Pleasant Street Center the other day. And Joan was there, I know for sure. And we had a presentation table at the fair this weekend. And we are going to have an official launch October 1st at Post 1917. And that will be by invitation, which we are inviting the council. So, but we would like to have people come to that by invitation who we would hope would be sponsors and influencers in town to help us promote this. I have a particular interest in this, and that's how I happened to get conned into doing this by Nancy. But I was a member of Reading's Council on Aging in the late 90s when Lois Bond was in charge. I'd been a case manager at Mass General for many years, and Mass General venture funded me to start a private geriatric care management business. I've also been on the board of the North Shore Elder Services, and I am a Shine counselor. So I have seen all these elder issues from any number of different angles, and I am really eager to try to help have this group recognized and supported. And so that's why we kind of stepped up to the plate. Anybody have any questions?
Well, thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, yes. We did bring a few very expensive brochures. Yeah, they're only, they're. Because we, oh, you've got one, yeah,
I
no.
go at the town fair on Sunday.
Very good. I want everybody to look at our Facebook page and do a like so that we can spread the word. I just put a little comment on there about the fair, how it was very well received, very high level of interest and gratitude for somebody finally stepping up to the plate and helping to have the resident 60 plus recognized and supported in this town. And as we all know, this has got to be a group effort. And I think Mark Doxer was the one that told me some time ago, the seniors don't have a voice. We need some organized groups to kind of pull this together. And so that's what we're doing. And
The
we are
people,
determined to
people were very open, Nora was there too. People were very open, talkative, asking questions. And it was just a nice, it was such a beautiful day and everybody was in such a nice mood. It was wonderful, actually.
yeah.
Or somebody walked by and they said, oh, there's a group for me.
Daughters bring their mothers over. Right. And not only that, but I talked to a number of high school students because I want to get these guys on board. And I want to talk to the superintendent. I want to talk to the high school principal, but I want more support than
Because the
just
idea is to support the seniors, not necessarily the seniors have to support
supporting each other.
themselves. Which is
Yeah.
to try to get the community and be part of the community.
Exactly. So we are determined to make this work.
And I have to say, if there's any group of people that can make it work, it's this group. This group has been absolutely fantastic in accomplishing and what you've accomplished. A lot of legal jargon, you've already raised some funds and launching, I just.
Yeah, that is right.
Nora is also on the,
Yes. She's our corresponding secretary.
Yeah.
Our leaders.
You also have a website.
yeah,
Yes, we're trying to pull it together. We had our first techie support person come to our meeting this morning. It's just Anne Marie's nephew.
He's very qualified.
Oh, he's very.
yeah.
Oh, yes, he does consulting, a lot of it,
Yeah.
stuff.
He's got a
A lot of it is business and.
graduate degree from Babson. He's very well qualified.
So-
Yeah, so, yeah, and then-
Pulling in the family, the friends.
we got my friend Tom Finn, the CPA, who's the
Oh,
treasurer.
yes.
Yeah, so.
It's excellent.
So, yeah, so we've got some really kind of energetic people and,
That's great.
yeah, so,
Mhm.
So and our goal is to really work in conjunction with the town. So that includes the Council on Aging and Senior Center and Jennifer, whatever you're doing. But to try to work with the town to make this actually be something as part of the community.
yeah. We had an article that I had written that went into the Reading Post last week. I don't know if anybody or everyone saw that, but look at the Reading Post. The Reading Chronicle is going to publish that article this week. Patrick from the Chronicle indicated that it would be by Wednesday because he's going out on a family leave. His wife is having a baby, not him. And lo and behold, Chris Haley allowed me to put it into Reading Recap. And he put an audio recording of the entire article on it. So we're going to capture his audience as well.
So our goal this month is to become an entity within the town and get that fundraising going.
Right.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Regarding
Thank you.
funds, Regarding funds, I want to toss out a thought. Have you thought of contacting Mr. Cummings from Cummings Park? He supports a lot of different organizations, and I know he supports elder housing in Woburn.
We did, actually, one of our advisors on the board had us meet with George Rio, who is a board member of the Cummings Foundation. And we had a meeting with him. The Cummings Foundation will be very helpful to us in the future, but they require that any organization be up to speed at least 3 years. And so that they know that it's an operational group before they grant any money. So we are working, beating the bushes in the private community at this point in time.
Thank you.
So anybody here that wants to donate.
A house, we want a house donation. That'll
I
carry.
know, like, we're going for those legacies.
Yeah, we're going for the houses.
Oh, God, she's the one that got me going on this.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for coming and sharing this information and all the progress that you've made and the support that you're giving to the Reading 60+ community. It's fabulous. Like you said, a long time in coming. So thank you very much.
And Elder Services thanks you as well. We really appreciate all your work and everything you've been doing over such a short, it's really been a short period of time.
Yes.
And it's quite amazing everything that your group has been able to accomplish.
Bunch of 80-year-olds, you know. Just not an easy thing.
I've learned one thing, and I told a group this last week. I'm not starting a nonprofit after seeing what they went through.
Great. Well, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you can,
I was planning to.
Okay.
okay,
Is that?
Great.
Yeah.
great. The next agenda item actually is Karen Fatino, and Karen's not here. She was going to give us an update on the Mystic Valley Elder Services. So we will do that next week, next month. So that brings us to Chris and Chris's reports and Jenna's funding reports and noxious odor and reimbursement procedures. Those are the three things.
All right. So we had another really good month. As you can take a look at the monthly report on the front page. We've had a really good start to this fiscal year. I always run numbers from July 1st to the end of June, so the fiscal year. But we've had a really great start. July and August, the numbers have looked really good. So I'm really excited about that. We're even higher. I just calculated, and we're higher than we were last year, which is really exciting. So we met our goal and actually exceeded our goal last year. And so far we're exceeding last year, which is great. So kudos to the team and everyone. You know, the staff is doing really well on focusing on what they need to do, doing their job. They're doing it. I thanked them last time and I can't thank the staff enough. You know, we're really running at a well-oiled machine. So kudos to them. And the numbers really reflect that. So, we had a really good month numbers wise. We had a lot going on in August, September. That should have said the top of that should say September, not August. We had Jason Lewis Ice Cream Social back just last week on the 3rd. We had a busy first week of the month. So we had the ice cream social. The next day we had Labor Day luncheon. And then the day after that we had birthday lunch. And then you can just go down through there and see everything that's going on. The exciting thing is next week we have the new AV system going in the great room. So new projector, screen, speakers. I think it includes a conference system for meetings. So we're just really excited for that whole system to be installed. So it'll be nice to get off the portable system and into the back into a permanent system. So that's all next week. So no programs in the great room next week, just so they can get that system installed. So we're excited about that. You can feel free to read down through there. We are really packed in September. We have a lot going on, so which is exciting. Tiring and exciting. So we're excited about that. Updates. We have a lot of good updates, I think. So I'm just gonna kind of jump around a little bit on the updates. Is we have right now, we're having, starting this Friday, we have State Rep Brad Jones doing office hours at the Pleasant Street Center, 10:15 to 11:15. So it's kind of nice. We have all the reps doing office hours now at the Pleasant Street Center. So we have Jason Lewis, we have Haggerty, and we have Brad Jones now all doing office hours at the Pleasant Street Center. So we're excited to have everyone, which is really nice. The big announcement is we have a nurse now, so we're excited. If you have not met her, it's Olivia Bartolome. I think I got that right. Did I get that right, Jenna? Bartolome, I think.
That's
I'm getting-
how I would pronounce it, but I'm not entirely sure. We can ask her tomorrow.
I feel like I've asked her 5 times and I always forget the last part.
That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
That is.
So Olivia, she goes by Liv, which is awesome. I will remember that name. Thanks to my daughter. So we want to welcome her. She is going to be, we just got the schedule today. She's going to be at the Pleasant Street Center every Monday through Thursday, 1 to 3:30. I think it's 1 to 3:30. Might be 1:30 to 3:30. But she'll be at the Pleasant Street Center in the afternoons for a handful of hours. And then she'll be at the Pleasant Street Center on Friday mornings. So the rest of the time she will be at Town Hall at the office with Public Health, because we're sharing her with Public Health. The nice thing is IT got her set up so her extension rings at both places. So it's just one extension. So if she's here, she'll answer. If she's at the Pleasant Street Center, she can answer and get her messages. So it's been going well. We've been kind of throwing her in to the deep end. So she seems to be doing great and we're really excited to have her.
Is she gonna sit where Elise sat?
Yes. Yep, same office. So, but stay tuned on information on things. We're not trying not to push too hard, but because she hasn't even been there a full week yet. So she's just learning all the details and getting her systems and everything up and ready. So stay tuned for details on when things will be. So we're excited about that. I know next item, I want to say thank you to facilities. They rerouted last Thursday and Friday the exhaust system to our HVAC system in the attic. So Jean Prado, she saw the crane and everything going on. So what facilities did was they moved the exhaust further away from the intake. They're thinking that this will, they were relatively close, so they moved them quite a bit further back, thinking we believe that the odor was coming from, if the wind was blowing right, the exhaust would come back into the intake and we would get that kind of whiff or smell. Now, we have to wait until heating season to test this out. I don't want to turn the heating system on now because it'll be really hot. So hopefully we'll find out the fix to this soon once the cold weather kind of comes around. But it was the next kind of possible solution to trying to get this. Those two exhaust and intake were pretty close to each other. And it does make sense that if the wind blows correctly, it would kind of direct it towards the intake. Makes sense because this odor you never know when it's going to happen. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. It could be there, it might not be there. So we're going to see. So they're trying hard to try to get this fixed. before winter here. And we'll see if this resolves it or not, and we're gonna go from there. So if you have any questions, please let me know, ask. Something that I talked to the staff with, I talked to Ann and I met, and I know we've been thinking about this for a while, and the staff talked about it for a while. I've been thinking about it for months now. We talked about it about a year ago, and we're just trying to get the timing right. One thing that we're going to try to do is we are trying really hard to reduce the plastic water bottles that we have at the senior center. So my hope is to try to eliminate them. We've been supplying ever since COVID, the small little water bottles to make sure people have water. It's just running through a lot of plastic, and it's just, we need to kind of really reduce that and hopefully eliminate those. So the first step is earlier this year, we got facilities to install a new water fountain with a water bottle filler that's filtered. We're going to order some pitchers with lids so we can, at events, we can put pitchers with lids at the tables and provide cups. And then we're also going to provide some like jugs, cooler type things that we can fill up, and people can use cups to fill up. But we're also going to encourage folks to bring their own water bottle from home. I know as of right now, it was brought up if we could just get water bottles. I'm a little hesitant about that because I know at our house, we have so many water bottles that we get one and then they disappear. I saw at Recreation earlier this summer how many I should have grabbed all the all the water bottles from Recreation at the end of summer. It's amazing how many water bottles Jim collected, and I was like, wow, if you want to shop for a water bottle, show up at Recreation at the end of summer. Test them out. I feel like that's just adding more plastic when you order them, and then people forget about them. So we're trying first to not do that. We're going to try to do cups. We have the new dishwasher. We're just trying to get away from plastic. So,
But aren't you going to use plastic cups to use for the pour from the pitcher?
no, we got paper cups, or we have regular washable cups too, with the dishwasher. So we're trying to use up the plastic cups that we have, because we have them, and I'm not going to just throw them away. So we're going to use up any plastic cups we have, and then switch to either paper or the washable, regular sturdy cups. So just to reduce how much plastic we use. So something we just started, we got good feedback. We were asked by the Best Exercise group on Fridays. They asked if they could have a coffee time and coffee hour after class on Fridays. And we said yes, because there's no reason not to. So they started a coffee hour after Best Exercise on Fridays at 10 o'clock when they're done with exercise. Anyone can join. I think we had 12 people stay afterwards for about an hour and chatted and had coffee, and they had a great time afterwards. So they really enjoyed it. There's only the second Friday of every month. They can't do it because Brad Jones is there and we just don't have the space, but they're okay with that. So all the other weeks, Fridays, the coffee after Best Exercise at 10 a.m. So if anybody wants to join and have a cup of coffee and just have some social time, please come by. So we're excited about that. And I think that's everything on my updates. Any questions on that? Oh, I like that. Good.
I have one question.
Oh.
I don't want to disappoint you. So the activities are incredible. Are you still having to you have numbers and only a certain number of people can do them because of space issues? And so are there waiting lists for things? Is that happening a lot?
Yes, mainly for our larger events, bigger events. We just had our Labor Day luncheon. We had 25 on the wait list. We're trying hard to find the sweet spot. I prefer not to go over 60 people with the space we have because of just safety concerns. Once you get over 60, it really, even though you could squeeze more than 60 in there, I just don't, and I've talked to staff, it's just not safe. We have to get walkers around. And if something happens, we have to make sure people can get in and out.
Mhm.
So my limit is 60. Sometimes just to give the staff a little bit of a breather, it's nice to have a little bit less. We prefer not to go below 50 for bigger events. But we don't want to really go over 60.
Oh, that makes total sense. I was just wondering if that continues. I mean, to me,
If-
that says, there's Mark. To me, that says that there's a lot more people that would be engaged if we're able to
Yep.
do that.
Yeah, we just don't, for safety reasons, I'm not, you know, and for the bigger events, we usually get about 25 to 30 people on the wait list. Some people cancel last minute, and we can get a few of those in. But if we had more space and we had more room, yes, we could definitely open it up, definitely to 80, 90 to as long as we have the finance available.
Chris, I do have a quick question.
Yeah,
The chair volleyball, as we had spoken,
yeah.
is something that's everyone wants it back. So Mike, you mentioned that there was a 10 to 11 coffee hour on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Is that coffee hour going to be upstairs that maybe chair volleyball could go in at 10?
They're downstairs. I need to, I know I talked to you earlier about a week ago, Jean, and I haven't been able to connect with Anna because
Okay.
she's been out. Everyone's been kind of in and out and
No, I was
around,
just wondering whether
so-
it's an hour or an hour and
Yeah.
a half. Could we use the great room and coffee hour or something?
it's hard because we have Bridge upstairs taking up both rooms.
That's what I was.
Yeah, so we're very,
Bridge.
yeah. But we were thinking, I know there was conversation about having it on Wednesdays.
Right.
So if we can, I will follow up with staff this week to see about Chair Valley, because I know people have been asking.
Several have mentioned it to me.
Yeah, so I will bring that up with the staff to see with Janet and Anna to
Thank
see where we can be on that.
A question
Okay.
related to what you said. I know ARPA funding was specifically, there was some specific earmarks for space considerations.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering, those events where there is a waiting list, is there another venue that
But we-
ARPA funding can then support?
yep, so we are the holiday, we're looking at like the holiday Christmas luncheon, we're looking at moving it to Hillview where we can have. So yes, we are looking at other venues. The tricky part is what we're running into is when we start to do two activities in two different locations, we run the staff thin. And we have to remember, just because we have, let's say, a large event at Hillview, we can't ignore the other 7,200 people in town. We don't close, so you got to keep that in mind. So just because Hillview is going on, we got to make sure we still cater to everyone that's not there. And we have to make sure the phone's covered. And we do it. It does make it a little bit trickier because, you know, I'd like to have staff at Hillview, and we do. But when we get back to the center, it also means a lot of work for us because we have to pick up the slack when we're not there. So there is a little bit of a game that we have to play. You know, that normally if you had a big center, you would not have to play this game. But since, you know, because we try to put the pieces together, it does become a bit of a challenge. And like I said, we just can't ignore.
But you know, Janet has developed such a large volunteer list. Couldn't you use a lot of volunteers at Hillview?
Bingo.
We could, yes, we can.
You got some good volunteers too.
Yeah, we do have some good volunteers. Yep, and we're moving in that direction. But again, it's also nice to have the staff be present and make safe. Again, it's getting that jigsaw puzzle and the pieces together to make everything work.
So it's not just the finances, it's logistics.
Logistics. So, you know, it's just like anything else we do, logistics plays a part. It's not, and even for events, it's not just, you know, just because we have an event, let's say from noon to 1, there's still quite a bit of time before events and after events for setup and tear down and clean up. That I don't think a lot of people realize. So,
Does that.
and the staff does that, which is good. And we are picking up the volunteers. It's been nice because Monday community lunches, the volunteers are there, and it's been nice that even for quite a while, I'll pop down, make sure they're good, but I don't even have to be down there anymore, which is great. But for a lot of our events, just because it's a 45-minute or an hour thing, it's a good portion of our day. It's Janet running here, it's Anna running here, it's I'm making sure we have, it's so, it's not just hey, we're throwing an event, please show up at noon, and it's making sure we have the volunteers, it's making sure we have the supplies, it's making sure we have the coffee set, that we have the plates, we have, everything going on. So there is quite a bit of logistics that goes on that a lot of people don't think about, and they don't see. It's the behind the scenes. And it makes it challenging for us to do things, because, we don't have that, and then when we have that breather, then we have to make up that time that we're away, to make sure, okay, do we have the voicemails? Do we have the answers to the emails or whatever else? So, not just a simple operation. So,
Appreciate that.
yeah, thank you.
That's
Good
amazing.
question. I appreciate that.
And
But kudos to the staff for,
yeah,
they do amazing.
yeah. Maybe we can move on and we can take a look at the ARPA report, since we've been talking about ARPA. And take a look at the trust fund report, and then get some advice on reimbursement for volunteer expenses. So I don't know who's gonna do that. Jenna, Chris?
Jenna can talk about ARPA if you're okay with it, Jenna. Trust funds haven't changed much.
Yeah, the trust funds, you're really not taking any money out of those right now. So what I did was have Diane Marabito provide that updated report with the interest. And if there's any questions whatsoever on that, I would suggest that you email me about them so I could ask her directly, because I am not super well versed on the trust funds as she is, or the trust fund commissioners. So Mark's on the trust fund board of the trust fund commissioners too, so he could speak more to it too. But does anyone have specific questions about the trust funds first? Okay, great. So I can.
I actually do. It's
Sure.
the very last column where it says expendable. Is that the amount? Is that the interest amount? Where would I look on here to see the interest available for each trust fund?
It's not just the interest.
Where would I look to see what we
I'm
have?
sorry, I don't have the
available?
report right in front of me. I don't know if someone can
Okay.
share their screen, or if Chris, you see that on your sheet where the interest is.
If it's okay with everyone, John asked me this today at the end of today when he left cribbage. If it's okay with everyone, I'd love to ask, Jen and I are meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30, because I didn't catch this either. I'd like to go over it with Jenna tomorrow morning, and could we table the answer to this to next month, if
Well,
that's okay?
I think a great idea would actually be to have Diane come in and speak about the trust funds. I know she is very busy, but she is the guru. So even if I went in there and she gave me a quick synopsis of all the ins and outs and explained every single column, I would probably come to the meeting and still not be well versed enough to deliver it in the eloquent way that she maybe would. So if that would work, I could definitely ask her to come into a meeting within the next month or two, or perhaps just give a paragraph explaining each of the columns.
That would be helpful. And I've put that in the notes for next agenda item.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the ARPA funding, if anyone has any questions on that, I'm more than willing to answer that. I know that there has been a request for an ARPA funding update. at the October Select Board meeting. So I think at the beginning of August, myself and or Sharon will be presenting an update on the ARPA funding. Right now, we have 165,000 around there remaining. I looked today again, just to confirm that number. And there is some money remaining for programming and supplemental programming space. So the programming, what we are looking to do to tie up some of that money is put our vendors on contracts. And we will need to do that to procure the money by the end of this fiscal year. So we could use it until the end of FY25, which will be great. So our programs can remain low to no fee. And then the next thing that we're going to look at doing is asking maybe the select board for their advice about the supplemental programming, because there will probably be some excess in that particular line item, and perhaps they have some suggestions on what we should do with it. There's only so much of the programming that we can encumber, and there were certain money allocations dedicated to each of the fields of the ARPA funding. So we don't want to deviate from that. So if there was a remaining $80,000 that we were going to use towards supplemental programming, but, you know, Walgreens didn't pan out and different rental opportunities didn't pan out, and we can only do so many events at Hillview, we're not going to spend all that 80,000. So we'll be asking them for probably their advice on that, unless anyone has other creative ideas on supplemental programming space or rental space. And that's kind of where we're at with that.
I have a question. I think I asked it before, but I don't remember the answer. The biggest expense on this is that over $2,000 is Stacy Stinson. Kennedy. Who is she?
So that is the Royal Tours trips. And actually, thanks for pointing that out too. So you'll see that those charges come in every month. So what we also did with Chris and Jane Wellman and Katie in procurement is we encumbered the funds for all of our Monday meals, community meals, until the end of FY25, and all of the Royal Tours trips until the end of 2025 as well. So the funds are encumbered, and then when you see that 2,200, it comes out of the amount that's encumbered. It's a little confusing, but I'm more than happy to meet with anyone offline to explain.
Is there any way on this report we could get something like that, like Royal after the name, and there's something to.
Oh, sure, that says like the trip, that it's a trip in parentheses.
And it's something else, you know, Therese Curry at $400 or $440. You know, I don't know, we don't know who she is. Well,
I can-
We had asked for that.
Yeah, I can,
before,
yeah, I can definitely add that for next time. I know Jenna gives me the report and I can definitely add that in the sheet.
Well, it's actually on the next page.
Oh,
It's the next column, and if you would,
Match
it
it.
should have been in landscape.
Yeah,
It should go landscape, now we can spread out.
right. It is there.
Like
people.
the $2,700.
Yeah.
Jen, I have a question. Did we have to have it encumbered by the end of this year and spent by the end of 2025?
Nope. So it needs to be encumbered by the end of FY24 and spent by the end of FY26.
Okay.
However, I can't, all the contracts that we're doing are year contracts, so I can't really like encumber funds for like the next fiscal year technically right now, unless I get approval for that. So
Donna has a question there, Jenna.
Yeah.
Or just a comment, I was just going to clear, if you're talking about the ARPA funds, Jenna,
yes, yep,
those need to be encumbered or committed by December 31, 2024, and then spent by December 31, 2026. So it's
Right.
not tied to the fiscal year, it's tied
Yes.
to the calendar year.
correct. Sorry. Yep. So we have until December of 2024 to encumber those funds, which is why time is kind of running out.
So Jenna, of the remaining funds available here,
Sure.
is is the supplemental programming, 80,000 that you talked about. Is that included in that 165?
Yes, yep,
It is. Okay.
yep. So the remaining funds, a big chunk of that is the supplemental programming
supplemental.
space. I did run a bunch of the rough numbers. We did spend, well, we are going to be spending around $63,000 from the accessibility line item, which I projected to be 50,000. But we think that the fact that we'll be able to do virtual programming, we'll be able to have virtual meetings. It enhances our programming space as well as the accessibility. We're going to have a hearing loop installed, well, like accessible hearing sets that are installed in the AV system, and it'll significantly improve visual and audio capabilities in there. So we have around 63,000. So the 50,000 in accessibility, and then we kind of coupled it in with the extra 13,000 with the programming for that. And then the majority of it was used towards programming in this past fiscal year, as I projected last year. So I can give a comprehensive report. I don't know when the October select board meeting is. I think it might be before the next COA meeting, unfortunately. Otherwise, I could have given you a report before I went to the select board, but.
Jenna, so is the intent to have that 165,000 plus encumbered by December 31st, 24?
Yes, however, there's a certain amount of programming that we'll be able to encumber with our vendors, like I said, but that supplemental programming space line item is where we'll see an excess. So that's when I would probably look to the Council on Aging, perhaps the select board, to see what they would prefer us to do with that remaining 80. I mean, I could perhaps see if I can extend another year on trips or Monday meals or something like that. But is there a bigger need right now that they're seeing in something that perhaps I'm not, or we're not as a whole? I'm not sure. So
that's a good question. We can
Something to
think about that.
So you're looking for ideas of things from chatting with people or whatever, just to give you to pick and choose from and
Yeah.
be inspired.
Because
by.
we could
Okay.
use that extra 80,000 for, maybe the
first floor
pickleball,
bathroom.
or like, I don't know, or maybe we use it for the meals and the trips. But how it was asked for, it was asked for that supplemental programming piece, so we just don't want to deviate from that without asking for
okay.
feedback.
And am I correct, Jenna, and we thought a lot of that would have been used for rental space, right?
Yes.
So that's where we have that's where we're getting this slight hiccup from.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
we thought we were going to use it, but now, that rental spaces. So.
Can we have some like off-site lunches, maybe like at Kitty's in North Reading? They have a big back room that we could, I'm sure, accommodate 50 people and have a nice luncheon for the holiday season and perhaps carry it into next year. Can we use some of those unspent $80,000 off-site in that way?
Sure, but you're gonna run into still not spent, like that wouldn't be all that much money.
So why don't we have
events are like
$7,000?
$5,000, combined with like the food and the entertainment, usually maybe a little over, for like about 115 to 120 people. So yeah, we could have like all these events in the new year, I suppose, and use all of those funds, but I don't know if that would be the wisest use of the funds.
Can I, at 7:30, Donna is coming on to talk to us about campaign finance law and what we can and can't do. So how about if I put this topic on the agenda for the next meeting. And we can come up with ideas.
I just have one quick.
7:34.
One quick question.
I know we have been, when I say we, the Pleasant Street Center has been funding a lot of this through the ARPA. Has anyone thought going forward how we're going to gradually start charging the seniors? Because it's been straight across the board, everything has been, trips have been cut in half for cost. Food is right there, no paying. Programs, nothing is paid for, $2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I think we need to think about that going gradually, how to introduce
Yeah.
the charges back.
So I'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting. And we can talk about that at the next meeting.
Short answer is yes. I've heard lots of discussion, you know,
Yeah.
the thinking about it, yes.
At this, thank you both Jenna and Chris very much for your information. Great program report, trust funds, ARPA. Looks like we're in a good position, so thank you. And now I would like to introduce Donna Brewer, who is the town council. And she is going to walk us through the campaign finance law, ethics, I don't know, she'll tell you. And about what we as Council on Aging members can and cannot do when it comes to the new senior center. Bye, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Donna Brewer, like, isn't it our town council, Ivrea? Ivrea?
Yes, Ivrea is my partner.
Yeah.
And so she does all general town council work. But we work collaboratively in the office, and so I'm here to talk to you about campaign and political finance and ethics and try to answer some of your questions as you have this very important building project coming up, which you would obviously like to support and get built. So good evening, everybody. There are a couple of basic distinctions that I want to make that will inform you going forward. So there are two laws that you really need to pay attention to, one of which is General Laws, Chapter 55, and that is the Campaign and Political Finance Law. The other is General Laws, Chapter 268A, that's the Ethics Law. And all of you should be getting from your town clerk a primer on the ethics law and how generally what you cannot do under the ethics law is use your official position in any way to benefit somebody outside of the town's interest, or use your position in a way that is a path that somebody who's not a town official could use could use in a way that a non-town official couldn't. The reason why you need to know this distinction is because the campaign and political finance law does not reach what public resources or public outreach that you do for town meeting. So there are certain things that the Council on Aging can do, and what you as members of the Council on Aging can do in support of a town meeting warrant article, but that you cannot do for a ballot question. So, for example, let's go right to it. Can you use public funds to ask the voters to support an article at town meeting? Yes, you can do that. However, it must be absolutely distinct from the ballot question. So when the town meeting precedes the election, you cannot advocate for a position that's on a ballot question. You could only summarize or support the warrant article, but it can't in any way mention or discuss or even refer to the town election that will come up afterwards. So what if your town meeting follows the election? In that case, you wouldn't be publishing any information about the town meeting warrant article until after the election has occurred. Now, I'm not sure that that is going to happen. Typically, the appropriation is made first at a town meeting vote, and then the election follows it. But keep in mind that distinction between what you can do for town meeting and what you can do for an election. That'll be important going forward. But frankly, most of this is going to be a joint process. That is, you're going to be looking to get support for the appropriation at town meeting and for the exclusion of the debt at the election. What does that mean? In general, what you can do is you can support the town meeting vote and the debt exclusion question. You can take a position on that as a council on aging. You can also take a position on that as council on aging members. What you cannot do is something that was suggested, which is publish flyers or some kind of outreach and send it to every voter. You cannot use public resources for that type of mass mailing. You cannot, as either council on aging members, you cannot get involved with any organization through its fundraising. So, for example, if your friends group wanted to send out support, try to raise money to do a mass mailing to all the voters in support of the new building, and they needed funds, of course, they're going to ask for funds to do that. You cannot be involved in that fundraising activity either as a council on aging member or even in your individual name. So, for example, if they wanted to publish an ad in the newspaper asking people to send provide money to the Friends in order to support efforts to get the town meeting warrant article passed or the debt exclusion passed, you could not be on that article, that advertisement in the newspaper, even in your individual name. Can you publish a letter in the newspaper in support of it? You can, just under your individual name, but not using your official title. So you could not identify yourself in that letter as a member of the Council on Aging. Can you use public buildings for meetings in support of it? Yes, the Council on Aging can use its senior center for meetings to support the warrant article or the debt exclusion question. However, that space needs to be made available to anybody who would like to hold a meeting that would be opposed to the senior center. So long as it's equally available to views on all sides of the question, then public building space can be made available. Can an elected official use staff to analyze the effect of the project? Yes, but the analysis can only be distributed at an official meeting. Again, there are things that you can do that you can publish through official meetings. You can make flyers available at an official meeting like the one you're holding now, so that members of the public, if they attend your meetings, they can take it away with them. You can make it available to members of the public that ask for it, and you can put it on your website, but it cannot be otherwise distributed generally, so long as it has been created and printed using public resources. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, so stop me if any of this is unclear. Oh, and one thing I will do is I will put together, once we've gotten through this, frequently asked questions that will give these examples in there, so you will have something that you can refer to.
Thank you.
That'll be great.
A lot of these questions that I'm bringing up and these answers I'm giving, they also apply to the Killam School Building Committee. They've been raising these same questions. So I think you'll be finding that a lot of the questions that you have, you're going to find that other committees have as well.
I have one question.
Sure.
We, yeah.
You want us to wait with questions?
No, please break in, because your questions may inform more of what I put on this frequently asked questions.
Okay.
I got a question I have then, because as you said, you threw a lot at us. We couldn't appropriate any money as a council. I'm a member of the council, but say just an individual. I decided I wanted to fund lawn signs. Could I do it?
Yes, you can use your own personal money to fund lawn signs. What you can't do is participate in a fundraising activity of some outside group, and they're the ones who raise the money to print the lawn signs. You can do it yourself personally, yes.
Okay, so I couldn't ask the Friends for the money, but I could give the money myself.
Yes.
That's the only question I've got.
Yeah, I've got one. We are responsible for allocating the use of several trust funds. They're not public funds. They don't come from taxes. They're not budgeted. They were gifts from bequeathed for the council to decide how to use, and Elder Services actually does the administration. They get the check cut if we say we'd like it. Are those trust funds considered public funds, or are those accessible to us?
They're considered public charitable funds, and typically gifts that are given to you are given for the purpose of some kind of, usually they'll say that they're to be used for programming, or they're to be used for perhaps buying equipment or supplies or something. But typically the gifts are not given unrestricted. Even if they were given unrestricted, though, you could not use it for this purpose because they are considered public charitable funds.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Just shoot us.
Yeah, it gets really frustrating because you guys want to get your message out. In fact, Mark talked about how to get your message out. And your message is going to have to get out through official channels, not through mass mailings. We had talked about, when I had talked earlier with Nancy and a couple of others, we had talked about, well, what about at your booth at an upcoming public event? Can you just have flyers available out at your booth for people to come by and pick up? No, you cannot. Again, that's back to distributing it publicly, disseminating it that way to voters, and that is not permitted. Yep, go ahead.
One of our role is to advocate, inform, and educate. So in the past, the Council on Aging, and I've seen other committees in Reading at these booths, they have flyers about their committee and what their committee does, and things that need to be done. But you're saying we cannot pass out any educational material
about this project. So
what, can you be more specific? What project? About voting?
Yes. So again, you have to keep the focus is on a matter that's going to come up before town meeting and will be a matter on a ballot. So if it were just a town meeting warrant article, remember the Chapter 55 doesn't apply to that. So you could put out materials just about a town meeting appropriation that you were seeking money for something. However, in this case, our town meeting warrant article is going to be contingent on the passage of a debt exclusion question, which implicates the campaign and political finance law, which means that you cannot publicly disseminate information to the general public in support of that project. That
Okay,
is what the SJC has told us, and that's what the law has been interpreted to mean, and it is indeed frustrating. I get it.
but we are not looking for funds.
No.
That is not what we're asking for. We are not asking for people to donate funds. We are telling people that much research has been done and the senior center is too small for the number of people and programs that need to happen to service Reading residents. But I think what I'm hearing you say is we can't even say that.
Correct, because that is in support of a new senior center. You can, even if it's as factually objective as you can make it, what you're trying to do, the only way that information can be disseminated is through an official meeting, given in response to a request for information, or disseminated at a meeting that you specifically hold to discuss the project. So Mark had talked about you doing community outreach meetings where you're going to have a meeting to invite people to attend to hear about the project. You then can talk about the project. You can share information with the members who show up at that meeting. That's going to be one of your official meetings. But what you can't do is do a general outreach of dissemination of information to the general public using public resources and public funds.
But we weren't using public resources or public funds. I mean, the flyers aren't printed by the town. They aren't paid for by the town. They're.
What can we do?
That's a valid point. We're advocating, our purpose is to advocate for seniors.
But how do we do that?
How do we go about doing that? We have all these restrictions.
So now, was there, I think at one point you mentioned when we met, something about official channels like the town website.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go into that a little bit? Because we can utilize that, right?
You can utilize that. And I think Jenna had mentioned it at one of our conversations that, in fact, I think you might have a video that you put together that is available on the town website, on your page, to explain about why you need a new senior center, the limitations that you've had, support for it. You can do that. You can do that advocacy through town sites, through town resources, but not outside of official meetings or the official website.
Can we do it through RCTV? The video showing on RCTV?
No.
So again, can you tell us what we can do? Because we do want to advocate for seniors in the community. And for us, that means advocating for the building. But how do we make the differentiation?
So what you need to do is you're going to have informational meetings that you're going to set up where you're going to be inviting people to come and hear about the need.
Campaign meeting.
But you're not doing.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Now, when you're saying informational meetings,
Mm-hmm.
could it be similar to a campaign meeting, inviting the town, inviting people and showing them the need and all the stats of why your senior center is needed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's doable.
Yes. Yeah.
What about if we wanted to put a lawn sign? Can we do something like that? Where we're not spending public funds, so.
Yeah, we are. They're coming out of the trust.
Well,
No.
maybe they're not. Maybe they're coming out of my pocket.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe I'm kicking in $100.
Okay.
Well, it's the kicking in the $100 that's making me, who are you kicking it into?
I
You know,
am for lawn signs to the
Yeah,
printer.
if you go to Staples and you print up your own lawn signs with your own money, you can do that.
Okay,
And not discuss it here at a meeting.
Oh, I mean, honestly, you can discuss it. The question is public resources and public funds, the spending of the funds, and that's what you can't do. You know, if you're talking at a meeting like you are now and saying, hey, you know, I'm going to be printing up lawn signs using my own money, and I'm going to share it with my neighbors. And if any of the rest of you want to do that, go ahead and you can do it too. You have a First Amendment right to use your own resources. What you cannot do is use your position as a member of the Council on Aging to gain access to public funds or public resources that others would not have access to.
And a quick question, if we were to do lawn signs, are we restricted on the text of how it reads if we're doing it privately?
If you're doing it privately, you can put whatever you would like on your lawn sign.
But they can't put Council on Aging or anything.
Or a website or anything like that?
yeah.
Exactly, yeah, it's got to be totally private for you.
I have a question. Part of our obligation is to educate, that's what we've said, to educate the community and to inform. So if we put out mailings that said, did you know why senior centers are valuable, and summarized key things? And if we put out things that said, do you know what services are provided by our senior center? Those things are still all right?
What you're describing doesn't have any mention of a new senior
Right.
center and doesn't have any mention of a vote or anything. You
Yeah.
can do that. In fact, I think you probably already do that through your newsletter. And you make your newsletter available to everybody.
Right, when we have had there have been mailings from the council as well in the past that have done that, but we could continue to do just pure informational, educating people about the aging process, need for social services in general, and things like that. We can do things like that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Would we be able to talk about the statistics and say currently we serve X number of people, but there's a need to serve another X, Y number of people. I mean, so can we, it's basically a way of saying that and it's data, we have the data, that the current senior center is too small for the number of programs and people interested in participating. You know, we're not saying vote, we're saying, here's the data. If you as a town resident are happy that the poor seniors don't have enough space and we have to meet out in the clubhouse in the back with a fireplace,
and people are dying of loneliness.
right? I mean,
It's amazing. I listen to you too. I can blur them right.
So can we state the facts, but not ever come out and say, we're looking at a new senior center, but here's the current situation.
Yeah, so no, unfortunately. The Office of Campaign and Political Finance is just really rigid on separating out the advocacy you can do as a council through official resources and what you can disseminate to the general public. And that is the line that they draw. And
what kind of restriction would that on the coffee hours we were running?
Nance.
So
I
you,
Ask.
you can
We-
talk about it at the coffee hours. You
Yes.
cannot just
Yes.
make information
Friends.
available at the coffee
Friends.
hours, like a flyer for them to
Go
pick up.
through the
So we've been publishing letters to the
That's what
editor.
John asked.
Have you seen any of those? Are those allowed?
I haven't seen them. Are you using your title?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been putting it out as the Council on Aging, yeah.
Oh, as the Council on Aging, you can take a position. As as the department, you can take a
We just can't
position.
tell anybody what the position is.
Yeah, no, you can't, I know.
Can the position be, we need a new senior center?
Well, wait, you just said we couldn't share factual information, and we're sharing factual information in the letters to the editor, so
Right.
I'm confused about the difference.
Well, the difference is how you're disseminating the information, because you were talking about publishing something that would be sent generally to the voters,
Oh, yeah, the cards.
and you can't do that. You
Okay,
can't do that.
but publishing it in the newspaper with factual information is allowed, because why? What's the difference?
It's a
Well, you're
public.
you're not using any public resources to do that.
That's the key.
Okay,
You're just,
But how would we be using public resources if we don't use our trust funds to send out a mailing?
so what funds are you using?
My checking account or my friend's checking account that has, or John Parsons' checking account or someone who has nothing to do with the Council on Aging.
What you got in your checking account?
Yeah, so
Start playing the lottery.
So then what you have to start being careful of, and this is not what I'm going to be giving people advice about, but
Okay.
people who engage in spending money on matters that come before town elections, then have to go and look at Chapter 55 and
Yes.
see if the campaign and political finance rules are going to require that some kind of filings be made with the Office of Campaign and Political Finance. So just because people are spending money privately doesn't mean that they don't have obligations to the state to report on the money that they're spending.
Oh, my gosh.
Do we have,
No,
do we have easy links to these two pieces of legislation?
They're on there.
They're on there?
I've seen
Okay.
I think.
Did they get distributed for tonight's meeting?
yeah, can you share those?
No.
Yeah, we need the links. I'd like to read the actual legislation.
Was it an MGL 55?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what the other MGL was.
The other one
Donna, I
was
just-
268A.
A.
60A.
268A. That's the
Okay.
ethics law.
Yeah, I've got my hearing aids in and everything.
What's the other one? 55 something?
Chapter 50.
Chapter MGL, chapter
General law.
55,
Okay.
campaign finance.
Donna, just to clarify, if the COA sends something to the newspaper, does that have to go through the town first, or can they send it directly?
The council can send it directly.
Okay,
Now, that's a matter for the law. Whether town policy would like it to go through the select board is a different matter. But certainly the law is not going to require that it go through the select board.
Am I correct? Is that considered a newsletter, public to the community? So it's open to all. We don't have to, do we have to worry about the text, what it states or anything of that nature? If we
For
send it. for the
Sending a letter to
newspaper
the
article.
editor.
Yeah, and there's
Yes.
no money involved.
No money.
That's the key. No money involved.
Donna, would you like to join the Council on Aging? It would be fantastic.
I think Donna will need
She's
you
not a
again.
Reading resident.
Oh.
But this will
Thanks for
probably,
saving me, Jenna.
this will probably be put on the warrant in April, so we may need to talk with you again
Mhm.
to be clear about what we can do at that time.
Yes.
Because right, okay,
Yes, yeah, no, Ivry and I have talked with the select board and other committees. We are always available to answer your questions. Before you do anything, if you have something specific in mind you want to do, and you want to send us a quick email or give us a quick call and ask if it's okay to do it in the form you're doing it, happy to answer those questions. And even if we tell you no, which we'll try to avoid doing, maybe we can figure out a way to massage it to make the question, the answer yes. So you may think of something you want to do. We may say, you can't quite do it that way, but you can do it this way.
Alternate way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As individuals attending the Center for Different Activities, can we stand in front of a large group and update them as far as what's going on?
Sure. Yep, you can do that.
And can we
As
ask
an individual,
support?
as a private individual, yep.
Can you ask for support?
As a private individual, you can.
So if you stood up in front of one of the large luncheons at the center and you said, I'm not a member of any group, I'm here to just share my thoughts on this, can you do that?
Yep.
Okay.
Then you're not using your official position.
No, but we might be covering a lot of statistics and what we want to achieve for a senior center.
Yeah.
So
you're covered. So if you're covered if you stand up and say, I want to address you as an individual, not the member of any group. You're covered no matter what you say. Can you fundraise that way too?
No, you cannot fundraise even as a private individual, because we cannot divorce the fact that you are a member of the council. So fundraising is just off the table for everybody.
What about lawn signs? Can you ask people who would like, if they would like to put lawn signs on their property?
People you can print your own lawn signs, as we talked about. If you want to use your own money to print lawn signs and make them available, you can do that, but you cannot go to a Council on Aging event and say, pick up your lawn signs.
Can you go to a senior center event at Pleasant Street when there's large groups of people there and speak to them?
You can speak to them, but you can't be distributing your lawn signs at that event.
Can we ask them if they would like to have a lawn sign?
Not at the meeting, not at that event. No, you're using.
And we meet them outside the front door. We have lawn signs in our trunk. They're in the trunk. We're gonna pass them out. Would you like one?
Not on our property, but across the street.
No, you could be standing on the sidewalk. 1 foot in the street, 1 foot on the sidewalk. Oh my God.
You know what?
Windshield wipers.
I may let you do that, but that one, it's really, I think you're best served by trying to create clean lines between what you do as an individual, private individual with your First Amendment right, separate from your role as a Council on Aging member. And Council on Aging.
They cross over because it's the information we're sharing from the Council on Aging.
Right.
We're gathering information from the Council on Aging. I can be standing in front of a group saying I'm here as an individual, blah, 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 blah. And I'll meet you out front standing on the sidewalk for your sign.
Rosemary, I love you.
How about a car with, one of those big speakers? We just drive around the community. We need a center.
Well, what's wrong with that? Can we do that?
That's a good question.
Yes, that is.
Could we do that? Could we do that?
The old-fashioned speakers, like in the 1930s, the thing would run around with a big megaphone on a car, and it would spread a message like bell ringers in the old ages.
I recommend
bell ringers used to be in the cemeteries. When people died, they attached a string to them, and if they pulled the string.
All right, wait, I have a serious question. So like Sunday at the town fair, you disseminated information when people came to the booth.
Yep.
Did you advocate, and you probably advocated for a new senior center? Is
We're very careful
no.
not to say don't to vote. We're very careful to say, here's information about the
Okay,
shortcomings of our
Here's
current system.
information about why, about the current senior center.
And that's
And-
allowed.
Yeah, here's information. This is what we said. Here's information about the current senior center. Here's a video that talks about
The limitation.
the limitations. In the spring, it's gonna go to town meeting and eventually it may get on the ballot. And then we just stopped. We didn't say anything else. We didn't say, please vote for we just stopped. We just told them the process.
Is that allowed?
That's getting pretty close to the line of what the Office of Campaign and Political Finance says you can't do.
I feel like you're
I
really
should
good
read
up until that last minute.
I know.
Up until the
There was
last
no money
thing,
involved.
yeah.
There was no money involved in the printing of the little flyer with the QR code on it.
Even the pleasantries, those are free. We gave those out. They're free.
There's a question I have. Say we have the flyers that we printed up. And town meeting's gonna be coming up in the spring. And hockey is played in the spring. And hockey is in the Burbank Arena, which is not a town property, but the town team is playing in there. Could we go into that hockey rink and give out those flyers to all the Reading fans on the Reading side of the thing?
And who paid for the flyer?
We did.
No, individual did.
Individuals.
I did, personally.
I
Okay.
went to Staples.
Yeah, so you're not going to be using public funds. It's not in the public building and you're not identifying it as a informational piece or an advocacy piece by the Council on Aging.
Right, and I'm picking
But we
the
gotta
hockey
save
rink
all
simply
our
because that's
receipts.
something that would happen just before town meeting.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so long as it's divorced from any connection with the Council on Aging, you can disseminate it to whoever you want.
Okay.
I have a question. Spouses of a Council on Aging member can do anything they want, correct?
They can, yeah.
So I can pass anything I want to my husband and let him speak it?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Okay.
Just so long as he doesn't identify himself as the spouse of a member of the Council on Aging.
Yeah, he doesn't want that anyways. We'll be good.
I have a question too. Before things go to ballot, there's always something that gets mailed to every single voting household that says, I believe the League of Women Voters does it. Question by question on the ballot, it's voting yes means this, and there's an analysis, voting no means that. How is that allowed with all the restrictions imposed on us? I'm sure it's allowed. It happens nationwide. But I'm not seeing how it's okay for them and so restrictive for us.
Yeah, no, so the League of Women Voters is just not a public body.
Okay.
As a private group, they can do that.
So the Friends of Reading Seniors Plus can do any of these things.
They can do a lot of this. And again, all I'll do is say they're going to want to check to see if they have to make any state filings, if they engage in any kind of fundraising for the purpose of sending out information or advocacy pieces on behalf of the project.
So how does this pass the voters?
Again, so you're going, don't underestimate the reach of your council. I mean, there are resources through official pathways that you can get your information out.
How?
You're going to be holding informational meetings. You're going
Okay.
to say the Council on Aging is going to be having.
No one will come to.
I think you might be surprised because it's going to be a fair amount of money. It's going to be a big project. And it sounds to me from what I heard earlier in the meeting that the seniors in Reading are trying to make their voices heard. And this is a good way for them to get the information and then use their voices with their neighbors and, with their shopkeepers and whoever else they talk to. I mean, they're going to be energized, and they are not going to be restricted in the way that you are by these particular laws.
So sending out that video to town meeting members ahead of the warrant, is that allowed?
No. You can, the video is going to be available on the town website. Sending it out to all the town meeting members would not be allowed.
Okay, it was.
Can we send out a link?
It was sent out already, but that was before it was on a warrant.
Right.
Yeah,
Or-
it's premature to be tying it right now, given that we're talking about something that's going to be happening in 8 months or so.
So the fact we already did it, that's not a problem, but to do it ahead of the discussion at April town meeting potentially, that cannot be done.
Right. And then
Okay.
again, remember, if it's limited to the town meeting warrant, then you have fewer restrictions, so that you could send the video out to town meeting members specifically for the town meeting warrant part of it. But you couldn't reference in any way the fact that it's contingent on a ballot question. That's going to be a really tricky thing to separate. If that's something you're interested to do, Ivrea and I would want to talk to you and look specifically at what it is that you would like to send to town meeting members, limited to the town meeting warrant article. But that's in the future.
It's also important to recall that I'm almost certain, because we were very careful about it at the time, the video does not say vote for a new senior center or anything remotely like that. The video simply says we want you to understand what's in the facility and what its capacity and its shortcomings are. End of discussion. So I think we succeeded in having only that in there. So there's no mention of there even being a thought of a new senior center. It's just saying, here's a problem we're facing. That's all.
Yep.
You know what, Donna? I think you probably will be getting probably another meeting to talk about this, but this is wonderful. I am so glad you came tonight, and I'm so glad that you shared this information with all of us in one room, in one space, so that we're all hearing the same thing. And we all kind of understand, well, we don't understand, but we all know that we have to follow the rules.
The law.
And the law and the regulations. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I would recommend, I know some of you mentioned about wanting to read the laws. The laws themselves are going to be really confusing. But if you go to the Office of Campaign and Political Finance website, they have a terrific publication specifically on public resources and public officials and ballot questions.
Yeah.
And that will give you a lot of what I have told you here tonight, but they will unfortunately confirm the limitations that you are under on how much you can reach out and in what forums. But I do recommend that will be a whole lot more understandable than the laws or the regulations themselves.
Basically, if we spend our own money and don't say that we're a member of any group, we can address people that way.
Yes.
First Amendment.
Oh, we got a yes, everybody.
And I recommend, I think what to remember is we can write down all our ideas and we can send them to Donna, right? I mean,
yes, you can do that.
I'm not trying to do it.
No, I know.
I think we have a lot of good ideas, and I think a great way is at some point just to write them down. And I think some may work, some may not, but we can always try to find the variation that will.
Either that, or maybe just have a specific hour meeting or on this topic.
Are they gonna send us to jail if we do something wrong?
Yeah, what's the penalty?
Yeah, how bad's the?
It's a fine. It's,
Fine.
there's
Gonna
a,
kick us off the council?
Oh, but the council would get fined, right?
So-
Not us.
and the town, because we're town employees, covers us, right?
I think the big challenge for us is we want to advocate for the needs of the 60+ community in Reading. And
Yeah.
so we have believed that advocating also means advocating for the building.
Right.
But we have discovered tonight that that is not in fact something we can do as a council.
And,
Right.
and added to that, we've been in all these other meetings for floor plans and building plans. And now I feel that we're just,
Well, you can, correct me if I'm wrong, Donna. You just, a lot of it has to be official COA meeting. And then you just have to make sure within that meeting you do it correctly.
Right.
Like, right, Donna?
Yes, that's a good
Yeah,
thumbnail.
so that's the thing is you just can't go rogue
Well,
unless you're really by yourself. But
well,
an official
here's,
COA meeting and then you can advocate.
here was my idea, Chris, for the town fair, and I gotta.
Oh, yeah.
I got a chuckle out of Donna for this. I said, we could make our booth at the town fair an official COA meeting. And then when we distribute, we can distribute information. And Donna and a couple other people said, how are you going to take minutes for that? And I said, don't worry, we got it covered.
Donna, we're gonna give your law degree a run for its money.
Yeah. Well, we actually have two more items on the agenda, so, and they shouldn't take very long, but I would like to thank Donna again very much for coming tonight and sharing this information. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your courage as well as your time and energy.
And your smile.
Take care, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's drop this subject right now. Just drop it.
Yep.
The next item
This is,
is determine Council on Aging interest in attending the Mass Council on Aging Conference on 10/23, and also to vote to fund member registrations from the trust fund. So,
Is there no way ARPA could pay for it?
Oh, that'd be nice.
Hmm.
No.
I don't think so.
probably not.
no.
Last year we did it
Yeah,
through
last year
Burbank.
we didn't do that. Yeah.
It was Burbank last year.
I just thought I'd ask.
yeah.
Good question.
So let's just get a hand count. Is anybody here interested in driving down on the Cape on October 23rd? Is it the 24th?
It's 3 days.
It's
3rd, 24th and 25th.
25th.
Right.
Let's just say one of those days, unless you wanted to foot the bill for a hotel room and but is anybody here? Because I didn't get any emails of interest from people.
I didn't know you'd asked.
Yeah,
Sorry. Okay, I
did.
missed it. Sorry.
So how about let's raise our hand, then we can take an official roll call and all that stuff. But are you interested in at least attending one day down the Cape?
Not me.
No, it will be.
Is that it?
Pardon me?
You know, just resting your show. You
Oh,
have your hand up.
I have my hand up, yeah.
It will be close to us. Next year, I think it's not on the Cape next year, so I think it's on the North Shore next year.
It'll probably be in Danvers again.
Springfield for one of them.
Yeah, so it changes location just to let new folks know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So it looks like we've got.
is it just two people that are currently online?
Well, Tony is not here and he.
I know, he left.
Isn't
We
he?
can, I can ask him
And
if he's,
Karen Fatina last year went to the whole thing and really appreciated it. I know she's not here to vote. I don't know what her
Okay.
interest is, but we.
No, as I said, the last meeting I went last year, and I think it was fantastic, one of the best conferences ever.
They do a really good job.
so do you want to go?
No, I'm all set for this year.
Okay,
So I'm good for one day.
okay. And registration for one day is,
2:15, something like that. Jenna, are you registering the staff people, or Chris, are you?
Yeah,
You did it last year.
I'm just connecting with the staff this week now that we're all kind of getting back from our vacations, but I know I'm going to go for at least a day. Anna's gonna go for a day,
Mhm.
and I gotta talk with Janet tomorrow.
Okay,
I did check with Carrie today and
Okay.
she looked at the schedule and I think she's gonna pass, so I know Ann and I will be there for at least a day.
okay. Last year Jenna enrolled us all. She was very kind. Just took care of
Yeah,
it.
I'll still enroll everyone, like
Okay.
staff too, whoever wants to go, I can just do it all at the same time if that's helpful.
That's helpful. Thank you.
And if you're thinking that Karen may want to go, you can just allocate up until a certain amount of the trust.
Right.
In case someone does change their mind too.
Yeah.
what if we said allocate 6, 1, 7, 10,
I wonder where she is and they can
Um,
text her and get her.
allocate up to, I don't know what we allocated. 4 people would be $860 and 5 people would be $1,000.
I thought there were just three possibilities.
Well, I don't know if, like, if anybody gets a second thought. I was just thinking, like, all of a sudden Jean thinks, oh yeah, I'm gonna go down. You know, we don't have to spend the money.
No. Well, we do have to register, and once we're registered,
Then
there's some
the
point at which
money.
you probably can't get it refunded.
Exactly.
And there's a deadline. I couldn't find the deadline for registration anywhere. I found the deadline for proposing to do a presentation, but
That's.
You know what's going on each day, so they would you want to get on there?
yeah, it does. It's online.
Okay.
It's online.
It's online.
All right.
Yeah.
I think the
online.
deadline might be the end of this week. I thought it was the
Oh.
It might be it.
Hmm.
Which is how John got in free last year, because he didn't sign up to go by the deadline, and then he, in his masterful negotiating, explained his woe of having not been able to do it by the deadline, and as long as he didn't eat anything, he got in. It was masterful.
Exactly.
So 2:15 for
Probably do
Wednesday and Thursday, 160 for Friday. So if you just go on one of those days, that's like
I was
sort of
thinking
daytime only.
Right, because they're in evening networking events and things like that as well. I was thinking Thursday myself.
Can I say, I can't make a motion, right? Because I'm chair.
No,
Suggest.
Hmm?
What's the dollar amount that you suggest and one of us could make the motion?
If we think that there might be 4 people, Marilyn and I are interested. If there might be 2 people that just need to think about it a little bit more, then what we could do is make a motion to allocate $860. And if you went on a Friday, it would be less, but
I make a motion to allocate $860 from Burbank, up to $860 for Burbank, for Council on Aging members to attend the conference down at the Cape.
I second.
Nice.
okay, all in favor, Rosemarie,
Aye.
Karen.
Aye.
Oh, discussion, any discussion? No, good, Karen,
Aye.
Joan Coco,
Yes.
John Parsons.
Yes.
Jean Prado,
Yes.
Karen Janowski,
Yes.
Marilyn Shapley.
Yes,
Nancy Zimlack, yes.
we did it.
Okay. And then, I just have, it's 8:29 and I think it's kind of too late to start this conversation. But I'm always gonna put an open discussion item on the agenda. It's gonna be called New Senior Center Outreach Discussion.
Well, I think we have to think about what we just heard.
Yes.
That's
We didn't do the explanation of reimbursement procedures.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah. Can you do that real quick, Jenna?
Oh yeah, that'll be easy, I think. So yeah, there was a question about the W-9. I checked in with finance just to verify. So if you are making more than one reimbursement within the year, and they're going to be repetitive. So say Nancy at the coffee hours goes and buys Dunks every month. You are required to provide a W-9 to the town. Now, the W-9 will have no tax implication whatsoever. You don't have to file a 1099, nothing like that, because it's an expense, not a service. You're not providing a service to the town. It's only an expense to the town. So the W-9 is just setting you up as a vendor in the system so you can be reimbursed. And it's just a protocol and a policy that they have for auditing purposes. So again, no tax implication, no 1099, just something to formally put you into the system so you can get reimbursed. And then along with, if you wanted to go and make those purchases, you would need to provide a receipt for those purchases, and you would also need to take a tax reimbursement form with you to show the vendor before you purchase whatever you're going to purchase, so they can make sure that the tax gets taken off. Because if you don't get the tax taken off, we can't reimburse you for the tax. I mean, it's going to be like pennies probably.
Will they still take the receipt though? Even
Yes.
if I have the tax on it, they'll still
Yes.
take the receipt. Okay.
Yes. Yep, you just won't get paid for the tax.
Well,
That's
that's what
okay.
happened. Yeah, I didn't get the tax.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
What do you think? Anybody have any questions on that?
No.
No.
All
Where do we
right.
get our W-9? Just go online to the IRS? You've got
I can
W-9s?
email you one if you need one.
Great, and does everybody have a copy of the tax reimbursement form as well? Could you email that too?
Get a copy of that.
Yep,
So
I
everyone's
can
got
send
it
that
handy.
along.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I second.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Rosemary,
Aye.
Karen Panett.
aye.
Joan Coco,
Yes.
Marilyn Shapley,
Yes.
Jean and
Yes.
John and
Yes.
Karen. Yay,
We're done.
oh, and Joan, I'm sorry. Did I say Joan?
Yep.
Okay,
This was very
Good meeting.
productive.
we
Yes.
adjourn.
Wow.
Nora, could you hear me by microphone?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Wow.
you.
See you tomorrow, Chris.
Oh, man.